Once upon a time, there was a hungry fox. And one day this fox saw some juicy grapes hanging from a high vine. Do you know the kind of grapes that foxes love? But the problem was the grapes were way too high for the fox to reach. So what does the fox do? Well, he jumps up and down trying to get to those grapes, but he just can't quite reach them. He jumps and he stretches, but those grapes are just out of his paws. Now, you might think that after a few tries, the fox will give up. But no, he's a persistent little fox, that one. He jumps and he fails, and then he jumps again and he fails again. And the more he tries and the more he fails, the angrier he gets. And then finally, when the fox is exhausted and frustrated, he gives up. And as he walks away from the vine, he says to himself, "Who wants sour grapes anyway?" That's the end of the story. And the main moral of the story, the main lesson we learn from Aesop's fable, The Fox and the Grapes, is it's easy to despise what you cannot have. In other words, people often belittle or pretend not to want something they are unable to obtain. The fox, unable to reach the grapes, rationalizes that they were probably sour anyway, rather than admit his failure. Now, this story isn't saying that all foxes are liars, or that they're all sour grapers. It's just showing us how our desires can get the better of us. When we really want something but we can't have it, it's easy to make excuses as to why we really didn't want it in the first place. We protect our pride at the expense of the truth. For example, maybe you really want to be an artist, but you're not very good and you've never sold a painting. So instead of practicing and getting better, you tell yourself, "Who wants to be a starving artist? It's not worth it." Or maybe you really want to be a writer, but you've never had a book published. So you tell yourself, "Who wants to be a writer anyway?" It's such a lonely profession. In these cases, you're like the fox who couldn't reach the grapes. You re-protecting your pride by pretending that you really didn't want the thing you weren't able to get. But here's the thing, if you want to be an artist or a writer or anything else that you're not good at, the only way to get better is to practice and to fail and then learn from your failures and keep going. So don't be like the fox who couldn't reach the grapes. If you want something, go for it. Don't let your pride get in the way. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.